Today we will learn to do a concept anchoring routine. We will anchor our new concept of foreshadowing to a more familiar concept of deja vu. This will be helpful to us as readers because it allows us to generalize information and apply it to other subject areas as well as other situations throughout our lives. You will help me fill out the anchoring table that you will keep for future use. Today we will be following along with the steps in the anchoring process. The anchoring process follows the acronym ANCHOR. The steps spell the word anchor, and this process can help us when learning new concepts in the future. As we talk about foreshadowing, we will be filling out our anchoring table as a tool for you to keep. The first step is A, announce the new concept. The concept we are learning about today is foreshadowing. Who remembers what I said foreshadowing is and why an author might do this in a story?
Foreshadowing is making a prediction based on the text.
Close. What is an author doing when they're foreshadowing?
Hinting at something that's going to happen?
Hinting at something that is going to happen. Correct. We are going to write this under number 1. Next is N. Name the known concept. What are we comparing foreshadowing today to?
Deja vu.
Right, we're comparing it to deja vu. Make sure you write that here under known concept or number 2. Now we are on C. Collect known information. Let's think about information we know about deja vu. This can be words or phrases, anything that you know to be true. Work with a partner to see what you can think of for things that you know about this topic before we write it on our tables. So you and your partner go ahead and discuss about things, words, or phrases that you think about deja vu, that you know to be true about deja vu, from your past experiences or things that you've heard from other people, that we can write under number 3 or known information. What are things that you know?
What do you know about deja vu? Aubrey, anything? No. Something that you feel already happened. Like reliving it, kind of.
Maybe something that feels already knowing what's going to happen.
Something we've seen before. Something familiar in a story.
Can be a good or a bad thing, like good feeling or bad feeling.
Okay. All right. Well, since I'm right here, I already heard all of these things that you've come up with, so we'll write some of these things down. I heard you say that it can be a good or a bad thing, so we'll write that down. What else did we talk about? What else did you say? You feel like it has already happened to you?
Yeah, like it's familiar.
Like familiar to us.
Okay. Already happened.
Based on past experiences we've had.
All right, sounds good. Very good, and we wrote all of that under number 3, or known information. Moving on to H in our ANCHOR acronym, we will now highlight characteristics of the known concept. Based on what we have shared and talked about, what are some of the most important things about our known concept, deja vu? Under number 4, let's write the characteristics about deja vu. Looking at our known information, when we say it feels like something already happened, who feels that?
We do.
Mm-hmm. Can someone feel that for someone else?
No.
So is it safe to say that that is an individual experience?
Yes.
Yes, because can I feel deja vu that Jimmy has had?
No.
No. Can Jimmy feel deja vu that I've had?
No.
No. So under number 4, the first thing we'll write is individual experience. Okay, next we talked about how it is based on past experience. What does that mean for each individual? Kind of like we just talked about. Can two people have the same past experiences?
Not the exact same.
They might feel some of the same feelings or have some of the same perspectives on those. But deja vu is experienced by an individual's past experiences. So we can say in the next box, influenced by past experience. Then we talked about how when you feel deja vu, you feel like you already know what is going to happen. What are some feelings you might have when experiencing this?
Uncertainty.
Okay. What else might you feel? When you're feeling deja vu, what might you feel?
You feel like you know what's next to come, kind of.
What other kinds of emotions would you feel? Uncertainty. Sometimes I might feel happy depending on the situation.
Sad.
You might feel sad.
If it reminds you of something happy or sad that happened in your past experiences.
Mm-hmm. So we can write feeling like we know what's going to happen. Another thing that we shared about deja vu is that it feels like, well, actually we did not talk about this, but I think it's important to note that sometimes it might feel like predicting the future, because sometimes even before you're like, wow, that felt like deja vu, you might be thinking, I already know what's going to happen in this situation. You might already be pre-thinking or thinking ahead about, I've had this experience before, I don't want to know what's going to happen, or I want to do this again because I know what will happen afterwards. So I think that we can put down predicting the future for part of a characteristic about deja vu. And the last thing we talked about earlier was that sometimes deja vu can feel good or it can feel bad or sad depending on our experience. And I think that's really important because noting that it can bring up different emotions based on the situation and who is experiencing it. All right. Now we are on to O in our ANCHOR acronym for Observe Characteristics of the New Concept. So listen as I read to you an example of foreshadowing from the story. And what is there special about it? Inquired Mr. White as he took it from his son, and having examined it, placed it upon the table. It had a spell put on it by an old fakir, said the sergeant major, a very holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who interfered with it did so to their sorrow. He put a spell on it so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes from it. His manner was so impressive that his hearers were conscious that their light laughter jarred somewhat. This is foreshadowing because Sergeant Major warns that there's a spell on the paw, and those who interfered with it, so did their sorrow. Although I will not tell you what happens in the end of the story, because I want you to read it, know that this passage clearly foreshadows events to come. You will see as you read. Looking back at our anchoring table, let's fill out some characteristics of our new concept, foreshadowing. We discussed that deja vu is an experience that happens to an individual, and it is hard and nearly impossible for someone to experience that from an individual's perspective. Who experiences foreshadowing throughout a story?
The reader.
And can they experience that for multiple characters?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in our first box, let's say that the reader experiences it, and it can be experienced for multiple characters. Very similarly, it will be interpreted differently based off of the individual that is reading it. Like I mentioned before, do I have the same experiences as Jimmy?
No.
No.
Therefore, Will we always come to the same conclusions? No. And it's okay to have different interpretations and predictions. So in our next box, let's write that a characteristic of foreshadowing is that it is interpreted differently based on a reader's experience. Now I want you to turn to a partner and I want you to discuss why you think an author might use foreshadowing.
To keep a reader hooked.
Why else might authors use foreshadowing?
To like keep the reader like keep reading the story and be like interested.
Hint to future events.
So those are both things that we can put down on our chart. So an author keeps the reader, an author uses foreshadowing to keep the reader interested and to hint at future events in the story. Just like we talked about how deja vu provokes different emotions based on the situation, do you think that foreshadowing might be different based on the setting of the story?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there different genres of stories?
Yeah.
What kind of genres are there?
Thrill.
Thriller.
Yeah.
There are books that are thrillers,
Mystery.
mysteries,
Fairy tale or like
fairy tales. What kind of books do you like to read, Obs? Just name some of the stories that you read.
I forget what they're called.
Cat in the Hat.
the unicorn one.
They're like
The dragon one. What's the dragon one? Fire
where,
and the...
no, where they have like a story and they have like speech bubbles. It's not like an actual story.
Comic book.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Like comic books?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, what's the dragon one that you read? Fire and something.
Okay. Well, anyways, so depending on the different genre of the story, there might be different types of foreshadowing, correct?
Correct.
All right. Next, we have the R, and the R stands for Reveal Characteristics Shared. I want you to work with a partner for 5 minutes and come up with some of the shared characteristics, and then we will go over them as a class or a small group.